We're often told to just leave our problems at the door and just be professional. But let's be honest, the workplace is relational, it's a high pressure space, and between back to back meetings and growing and mounting KPIs, it's easy to feel like, you're just one urgent email away from a mental breakdown. We don't want to lash out at a colleague or, much worse, lash out at our boss. So, what can we do? How do you manage these feelings without pretending that they're not there? My name's Nat, and welcome back to the Work It podcast. In this episode, we're speaking to Nicole Lam, a journalist with CNA Today who has been speaking to experts on how to better handle our emotions in the workplace. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Let's start off with a very easy question, maybe. When was the last time you had a mental breakdown?
I want to say like more than maybe 2-3 years ago.
Okay. How was that? Was that your first mental breakdown ever, or?
I think no, definitely not my first one. I think it happens like from time to time.
Right.
Yeah, you just feel kind of like really overwhelmed at work, or like maybe like I think it was either a bad feedback, or like just you feel like you can't do whatever task is handling, and then you just feel really overwhelmed and you need to and then lots of tears.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I feel like a lot of our listeners and viewers probably relate to that. I relate to that. I've cried in the workplace before. But you've been speaking to some experts about practicing emotional regulation,
Yeah.
right? So what does that actually look like? Does that mean, you have to stay calm all the time? You kind of have to be zen?
I mean, I wish, but I know it actually doesn't mean that you're calm all the time. It just means that like whatever these difficult emotions come, you just have to kind of like know what to do, and then kind of just ride through it and really anchor yourself. It's more about like learning how to deal with it when it comes and not kind of let it get panic or or
not letting it get the better of you.
Yeah, not letting it get the better of you. And the experts kind of like say don't ignore it. I mean, if you ignore it, it kind of comes out as like, not helpful behavior. You be like ranting all the time, or like you can feel it in your body, like you're very tense. If you're feeling tense and you don't know why, that's probably the reason. Like you're not kind of like letting these emotions ride out, or like regulating it properly. Or if you're excessively scrolling, which I think a lot of us can be guilty of, like just going back and forth, that is also just a sign of like you kind of just keeping them at bay, or just letting it stay in the background and not really dealing with it.
So these, false fixes, as we call it, the excessive scrolling, I imagine, constantly checking your phone, distracting yourself with other tasks while one task is, brewing in the background.
Yeah.
How can I tell if the habits that I have when it comes to regulating my emotions, dealing with stress in the workplace, how do I know if those are healthy coping mechanisms? And how can I tell when it's not so healthy?
Right. I think when, you start to tell yourself, I shouldn't feel this way, okay, like, let me just not feel this for a moment. Those are kind of signs that you're kind of suppressing your emotions.
Right.
Or you feel like, okay, this is dumb. Like, let me just move on. Like, let me not feel sad. This is not sad. Okay, don't feel sad. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it can be, tension, shallow breathing. You're usually not feeling good. Even if you're like sort of unwinding, your usual unwinding schedule or whatever, you don't feel as relaxed as you should be.
But sometimes I've heard people say in the workplace, the workday is 8-9 hours.
Yeah.
Just tahan, just endure and then deal with it in the after hours. Why is that actually so bad? Like, we're still dealing with it later.
Your work time is 8-9 hours. That's a huge part of your day already. So it's important to address it during your work hours, because, it's good to show people that you can manage your emotions.
Right.
at work, and it does show that you have the capacity to deal with difficult things that happen. Yeah, you can work as work and then you kind of go home and do it, right?
Yeah.
But then I think having such a clean line, it might not be for everybody sometimes, because like sometimes work and life just things are just very fluid. I mean, for example, in the newsroom, like news doesn't stop when you clock off, right?
Right. But this stepping out somewhere, realistically, if we were to say I was in a back-to-back meetings, or maybe I had just received some feedback from my manager that I had to do something, it's not like I can always step out to go for a walk for like half an hour and come back. So are there more, I guess, time-efficient ways that we can actually deal with our emotions in the workplace?
So actually, even breathing, I know like everyone talks about breathing, but like it's really just about being centered with your breath and like kind of feeling grounding yourself. I think a lot of them talk about being grounded and feeling like, because I think when you're overwhelmed, you feel everything. The floor is like
it's fluid.
It's fluid. Yeah, everything is like everything is going all around you. So I feel like grounding yourself and it helps to I think it helps to kind of like remind yourself like, okay, I'm just here like one thing at a time, and really trying to respond to things in the moment rather than react. I think those are good. And then
let's break that down for a bit. The respond versus react. What does that look like, each one of those?
When you react, you're kind of just, it's straight away, like whatever they're saying, right? You're like, and you kind of get defensive about it, and then and when you're defensive, that's like a kind of strong emotion, and you're like, and then that's when you kind of feel a bit I would say like slightly unmoored, just because you're like no, and you're really ready to like correct yourself.
Right.
But as if you want to respond to something, you kind of really take time to pause, sit with it, and then respond to whatever feedback that's given. And then I kind of also feel like detached from that. It's not you.
Right.
You're talking about the work.
Okay.
Yeah, even though I think a lot of people feel like that it's an extension of who they are, but it's healthier to just kind of feel like, okay, this is my work in the moment.
To kind of decouple yourself from the work that you do. Okay. Well, that's very interesting, because I know a lot of people who anchor their identities so much to their job, right? Yeah. So in the pursuit of perhaps more healthy identities and behaviors, is there something that they can perhaps do in their quieter moments to better understand who they should be in the workplace, who they should be at home?
From what the experts are telling me, like they always recommend like drawing strict boundaries between who you are. But I think sometimes realistically, like it depends on how those boundaries look like for each person, who they are at work, who they are at home. Maybe I feel like it's just versions of who they are, and then it's how much do you like that version of you at work. If you're always constantly stressed and then at home you're like super relaxed, that doesn't, I feel like even then that's not realistic.
And it can even lead to some resentment of your job, and not being happy for, like you said, most of your day, because 8 hours you spend in the workplace. So I want to understand how you deal with emotions in the workplace whenever things are high stress, everything is urgent, we've all had those days. How do you address that in your day-to-day?
Right, like I think when it really gets stressful, I just try to focus on the task. Like it sounds so boring, but just really one thing at a time. If I work from home, then maybe I'll just go like pet my dog a little bit, and then just be like, okay. And then I think just even looking outside the window, just to kind of see like the horizon, and then just know that like my whole life is not in the computer and everything. And I think something helpful is also, like I think one of the experts mentioned, is just about the intention behind whatever things that people are saying, like whatever your bosses are saying. What is the intention behind the feedback? I think kind of not taking everything too personally. If they're talking about the work, right? It's just in this moment, maybe something happened with like a certain article, or like, the interview was not great, or like maybe I forgot to press record on something. Like that's just, what's the next thing I can do? Right.
Identifying that you are not your mistakes, kind of.
When it gets really overwhelming, yeah, maybe I'll just play some Taylor Swift. Usually that calms me down.
Okay, a Swiftie.
Yeah, that calms me down. Then even 5 minutes is good to just ground yourself. And I mean, we're not curing cancer, even though our work is very important. Yeah. So like, what's the perspective? Just having a good perspective on things is like, let's just do this to the best of our abilities and like not kill yourself in the
process.
in the process of like all this.
Yeah. So after having spoken to the experts that you've spoken to,
Mm-hmm.
are there some unhealthy habits that you're hoping to let go, or you've identified that you want to work on?
I try to not try to scroll so excessively. The research is out there, like it's not, it's not helpful. It just kind of keeps you like happy, like the dopamine,
like placated.
And placated, and you're not really relaxed even when you're kind of you're kind of scrolling. So I think that's one way to do it. I think just not being around technology would be great. I think even just reading, if you like a physical book. And I think even sometimes ranting.
Oh no, is ranting not healthy?
I think excessively ranting. I think venting is good and it's fine to do that. But it's more like you don't want to do it excessively because you can just keep going on and on and on.
Yeah.
And it can be exhausting for the person who's also trying to like listen to it.
I'm sure there are also instances where our personal life, something happens and we carry this baggage or this emotions into the workplace. Right? We're not able to take leave, or even after taking leave you come back and you're not quite yourself. Right? Is there anything that the experts have said about this in particular, bringing stuff from your personal life into the workplace and how we should deal with that?
If it's something really heavy or like something happened at home, I think they mentioned like there's no right way to deal with it. Sometimes like discretion is key. Like you don't have to tell everybody what's going on. You can tell like trusted people just the headlines of like what's going on, and then so people kind of know, but they don't need to know like excessive details sometimes. Then that way they kind of know that like, okay, something is going on, and they can be more, I guess, respectful of like whatever that's happening. And then that way, if they see that you're having a hard time, they can also kind of help you in all those ways. Like if you need like a walk, or if you need like some quiet time by yourself.
So it is still advisable, or maybe not advisable, but like still okay to tell people the headlines, hey, I'm not great today. Just want to let you know, I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but I just want you to know I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I think trusted colleagues or someone where you feel like emotional safety with, I think it's important to kind of know that first before you tell people. You don't want to tell people that you kind of don't feel safe with, and then like when you tell them, I think it's worse. Like the experts say that there's no right way to handle it. It's up to you, but it's important to find emotional safety. Like if you feel very safe with your bunch of colleagues already and your boss, I mean, great for you. If you don't, you can just tell your immediate supervisor and maybe one or two trusted colleagues that you feel that they know what to do if they see you're not doing so good.
Okay, so how about the reverse, right? Because we've talked about bringing stuff from home to the office. How about when something happens at work, it really shakes you and you don't want to bring it home? Is there any advice for all of our viewers, our listeners, on making sure that all that bad juju in the workplace stays in the workplace, or dissipates into the workplace, and you don't have to bring it back to your personal life?
That's a very real like issue that lots of people face. Like, I think one advice that I got was kind of like a visualization exercise. Like, you kind of just visualize. Like, I think one expert said, visualize all the work things staying at work, and then visualizing that when you enter the door, it kind of just stays like outside. Yeah, I think it takes a bit of practice to do that.
For sure, yeah.
For me, I think it's taken a while to kind of even just get to that point where you feel like, okay, you know what, like this is tomorrow's problem.
This like, tomorrow Nicole's problem.
Yeah, it's like, it's Monday's problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hard to... I think a lot of people still struggle with this. I think even for us in the newsroom, sometimes like, when articles get published, you kind of like worry like what's going... Okay, is it okay? Like what's happening, right? Even though technically your workday ends. I think we've all learned to kind of deal with it in the fact that, okay, if a problem comes, it will come, and then I will deal with it as it comes. I think the anticipation of it is what, kind of stresses you out, right? Like,
Yeah, that drives people crazy.
Yeah.
I know, because it drives me crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's clear now, I guess, what we should do to prevent emotions from riding too high, to better regulate when high stress moments occur. But as much as we can talk about it, people are still gonna have little bits of mentee bees,
For sure,
mental
like,
breakdowns across the workplace.
It's completely normal.
Yeah. So in the midst of that, like if I have one right now, well, not right now, but if I have one, how can I address it in the moment to mitigate the damage that would do to my work or to myself?
I think it's really just taking that pause and then just like grounding yourself and knowing that, okay, like maybe even writing down what's happening.
Okay,
What's
that's
happening.
helpful.
What's going on. And then if you can't take a walk, like maybe even just trying to remove yourself a little bit from work, like watch a video, watch something completely like on YouTube or something unrelated to work, and then kind of come back to it. And then I think the feeling that you hopefully get is that you're like a little bit more relaxed and like just a bit less tense. I mean, because you're still at work, right? But you're just like, you're in a better headspace to deal with whatever you need to deal with.
Okay, so when should someone consider getting extra support, like speaking to a counselor, doing therapy? When do you know that you've gotten to the stage that you need extra help?
Yeah, I think one of the signs is definitely burnout. You feel constant like exhaustion, listless, and I think even outbursts. Those are like kind of the red flags where you feel like extremely irritable and you kind of blow up over like very minor things. And I think the physical health symptoms like insomnia, like you can't sleep, it's really like kind of crossing over into your like physical health.
Right. And then that's the point when you should be finding someone to speak to, a counselor, a therapist, or even, going to the doctor to make sure that it's not something that's
more
physiological.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't reach that space too often, or we don't reach that space at all.
Yes.
But Nicole, thank you so much for
of
teaching us how to
course.
thrive in the workplace without losing our sanity. If you want to read Nicole's article, it comes out this weekend, so just keep a lookout for it at channelnewsasia.com/today. But we'd also like to hear from you. Drop us a comment wherever you're listening from if you have ever thought you were coping okay at work, but actually you were just bottling it up and it was waiting to burst out. Or you could drop us an email at cnapodcast@mediacorp.com.sg. My name's Nat, and remember, you don't have to switch off your feelings to show up well.